Welcome to Switch Comics. My name is Marco, and today we have another episode into my accidental series about all new Ghost Rider number 1, the 1 in 25 variant. So I'm going to at several points go over a lot of information in case you haven't watched any of my other videos on this. I'll kind of do a recap, and then it's going to kind of delve out of comics for a little bit. And it's kind of the point of today's episode of, did I cause this? Did I do that? Type thing. Hold it right there. If you haven't entered my giveaway in celebration for the channel getting to 1,000 subscribers, then go check it out. It's the first video on my page, and I'm giving away a ton of comics. It's 5 slabs, a bunch of raw books, some sets, and in the giveaway video, it's linked to other videos of, like, one person's giving away 4 copies of Spider-Woman number 1. One person is giving away a full short box of store exclusives and ratios and stuff. Just all kinds of cool comics, alright? So check out that giveaway video. Check out those other giveaway videos. A lot of cool things going on right now. Don't miss out on your chance. So let's go ahead and get you some information real quick. So with all new Ghost Rider number 1, I put it up for sale when I was funding my Journey into Mystery 83. Now, the all new Ghost Rider number 1, 1 in 25 variant is a book that's extremely hard to find. I kept track on this book for several years, or not several, but it's been 2 or 3 years now at this point. I bought mine. It took me quite a while to hunt it down. Wherever it is, there you go. And quite often, there's just not even one for sale on eBay. So while funding my Journey in Mystery 83, I needed to sell off a bunch of comics, and to do that, it kind of got me thinking, like, what books do I want to sell? And then I was like, by the way, All New Ghost Rider number 1 is my number, the 1 in 25 variant is my favorite book that I have. And so I was like, I really don't want to sell it. However, it's one of those things where in a bunch of my videos and stuff, people will see that book and be like, how much for that book? I want to buy it. And I'm like, it's not for sale. However, it got me thinking. It's like, because it's one of those things. Is like, it wasn't really a money issue. It was. It didn't matter if you were Elon Musk. If the book's not for sale, the book's not for sale. I'm not just talking for me. Like I said, very often there's not even one on eBay to buy. So it didn't matter if you had all the money in the world if you can't find it. You know what I mean? So it got me thinking, what would people pay? So I wanted to make sure, in my head, I was like, someone might actually pay me $1,000 potentially for that book. Again, didn't want to sell it, but for a little science experiment, I threw it up on eBay, $5,000 or best offer, hoping to just get some offers and see what people would do. Science experiment failed, didn't really work. I didn't really get any offers, just a bunch of people watching it, I think, just to see if it would sell. And unintended consequences was now suddenly a bunch of other people saw that listing and started posting their book for sale. And again, so since I had mine at 5,000, people were like, "Ooh, this is worth a lot of money." I saw, I think there was 1 or 2 people had a 9.8 that you wanted like $10,000 for it or something, and there was like an 8.5 for $4,000, and it got pretty crazy. And again, for a while, none of these books sold. None of the ones that were listed for these crazy high prices ever sold. However, fairly recently, and there was, I do want to say there was one that not too long ago sold. It was a raw copy. It was kind of beat up, and I think it sold for roughly $500. But fairly recently, someone listed a 9.6 at an auction, and then that sold for $1,600, which because again, I keep track of this book. I've been wanting to get more because it is my favorite book. I was like, I wouldn't mind getting an upgrade on the grade, or just having additional copies would be cool. But so the 9.6 sold at $1,600. The last copy that I saw at a 9.6 sell was $800. So doubled in price. And I guess I can say I am the reason, partially at least, or mostly, that I kind of screwed over the economy on that book. And I'm probably not ever going to get another one at this point, and many other people will not get one maybe at all, because again, it's pretty hard. There's only 50 of that book, or I think it's a little over 50 on the census. Now granted, there may have been more people that started grading that book, but it is just an extremely rare book. Anyway, so that's kind of the recap on the eBay side of things. What I did, what I had inadvertently caused, and then now the aspect of I'm kind of wondering, there's a new thing happening, but again, this is outside of the world of comics. Not all of you might know about it, and so I'll quickly explain. There's these things called Haslabs, which is where for the past, I don't know how many years, several years now, Hasbro has been funding these big projects, which is their Haslab, and it's crowdfunding basically. But basically, with the big things, a lot of people would just be like, I'll wait for it to go on clearance, and the toy companies got fed up with that. It was like, well, okay, fine, we're not going to make big things anymore if you're not going to pay for them, and simple business there, you know what I mean? So, it totally makes sense that for a while they weren't making big things, which hurt my soul, because I was, before I was ever a comic collector, I've been an action figure collector for over a decade now, and I really loved, like, I used to do the Star Wars 3 3/4. I did all kinds of the big vehicles and stuff. That's a different story, but I love the big stuff, you know what I mean? And so I really, hurt my soul to see them not really doing any more big stuff for a while until they brought up Haslab, and that's why I have my buddy here. This is the first Haslab that we funded, which is the Sentinel. As you can see, he's massive. He was $350. And he lights up and stuff, as you can see there, which actually it doesn't really even come across super well on the camera. It kind of just overexposes, but he's pretty cool. And so this will, anyway, so they're doing a new Haslab now. They just unveiled for the 50th anniversary of Ghost Rider. That is, and again, you have to it's crowdfunding. You have to get, a certain number of people to get it together. It's a big expensive item, blah, 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 basic stuff. So, with the new Ghost Rider, Haslab, they introduced the Robbie Reyes Engine of Vengeance. That's hard to say. Engine of Vengeance. There we go. Which has been something that my brother Chris and I have talked about, wanting. It'd it'd be so cool if they did that. It'd be it's one of those things. It's never going to happen, but it'd be so amazing if they did. We've been talking about it for a while now, and all of a sudden now they've revealed that this is their new Haslab, and I can't help but wonder: did what I did have anything to do with that? Because first of all, and before I get into it a little bit more, I just want to show you. This is their first picture, their promotional picture that they use to promote the Engine of Vengeance. And is this picture here, which is, definitely an inspiration from the all-new Ghost Rider 1 and 25. This is, now in all fairness, their second promotional picture is Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider number 1, his second series. And so you can see, that's a direct, we're trying to replicate this cover. But for their first picture, they're like, we have to do the all-new Ghost Rider number 1, 1 and 25. Now, I could look at this in a couple ways. One, again, that's my favorite cover. People love that cover. People that don't even, know about the book or anything, they'll see that and be like, man, that thing's just so cool looking. So it could have just been, hey, this will be, it's a fairly simple shot to set up, just put the car in the background, put him standing in front of it. It looks really cool. And, pays homage to the cover and everything. It could have been the reason, all right? However, there's just part of me that's like, if this is their marketing strategy, is it because they noticed that book was getting a lot more attention and was going up in price? And now, granted, the recent sell at $1,600 for the 9.6, that's definitely too recent. They've obviously had to been working on this for a while. But I mean, the developments of this comic listing price going up incredibly, and also just existing now, because like I said, it used to just, so many times I would just check and check and check and check, and there's none listed for sale. So all of a sudden, people have taken notice that this book is hot, even if it hasn't sold at the, before the 1600 one. Even if it hadn't sold, this book has definitely garnered some attention. And I just wonder, and if I did, this is what I think is a stretch, and there's no way I'll ever be able to know if I had anything to do with it, but I would like to think that maybe I did. It would make me feel a little better. Make me feel a little better about the price going up on the comic, which is I don't feel good about, you know. But if what I did caused the creation of this new Haslab project, then I think it'd all be worth it, because I've wanted this thing for so long, and I thought it was just a 1 in a million shot. I didn't think they would ever make this, and simply because, you know, because they're making bigger things with the Haslab. So which, by the way, you know, so we got the Sentinel here. We've this will be our 4th one that me and Chris have purchased. The Engine of Vengeance. We're still waiting on some other ones because they take like a year. So the next one getting ready to come out, or be shipped anyway, is going to be the Galactus, which is actually bigger than the Sentinel, which is pretty crazy. Can't wait for that. But yeah, super excited to get Galactus. And then fairly recently, a G.I. Joe one, the Hiss Tank ended. And so yeah, it'll be like another year or so until we get that one. And then this one just started up a little less than a week ago at this point. And it is, you know, be another year or so after. It's roughly a little over a month for the funding time period. And then after that, it's like roughly a year. So it's going to be a while till I'll see this, which is really sad. But I don't know. I could be crazy. I could be trying to take credit for something that I have no part in. That it could have just been something that they were wanting to do. But to me, you know, like the Sentinel was a no-brainer. Like, there was an older Sentinel, which I have over there. I should have grabbed, but oh well. And he was small. He was still pretty cool. He was a pretty awesome figure. But he was actually made for the 3 3/4 scale. These are made for the 6-inch scale figures. And so, you know, he looked pretty nice. You could display him with your 6-inch figures, but he's definitely, you know, small for a Sentinel. And then, again, same thing. They had a Galactus that was for the 3 3/4 line. And then now we have one coming out for the 6-inch line. And again, you know, just big no-brainers of huge characters that have a very wide appeal. But to me, and, you know, again, while I was talking to Chris about it, I was just like, there is no way that they're ever going to do Ghost Rider. It's too niche, you know. I would love it. I think it'd be amazing. But it's too niche. It's not going to happen. It's a risky play. Now, granted, you know, if something doesn't get funded, which some of these haven't got funded, and I don't really want to get into all that because there's a lot I can talk about, especially the Rancor one, but which is sad. I wanted that one so bad. But anyway, not gonna get into all that. If you want to talk about it in comments, we can. But with the Ghost Rider, or with any of them, if it doesn't get funded, they don't lose out a ton of money because obviously they haven't paid to start actually making it. You know, you just whatever money you pay to your designers and everything goes in the drain. But you know, for a big company like that, it's like, well, we see that we could have lost a lot more money. So if people don't really want it, then we won't make it. And that's the whole point of these. Again, and I'm going to get into maybe some fights with some action figure people that will be like, well, they make billions of dollars. They should just be able to do whatever and take the cost. They're a company, and their goal is to make money. And I'm not saying everything that they do is they're a saint in this, that, or whatever, but I do understand that companies' goals are to make money. And so they're going to do what it takes to make sure they don't lose a bunch of money. That is anti what their job is. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll kind of wrap that up. And again, it's a lot of information just to be like, I like to think that part of this was my fault, you know, in a good way. This is basically what I'm getting to. I did want to briefly talk, and this is in no way an ad. I wish I was sponsored by Hasbro. That'd be amazing. But I am not. So I did want to talk about this Ghost Rider Haslab, the Engine of Vengeance. And I'm just super excited about it. Like I said, I mean, I've talked about it extensively, but this is my favorite comic, one of my favorite heroes of all time. Regular Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider I love too, but like to have our own Mexican-American Ghost Rider that has a Charger, and I will fight anybody. The Charger is cooler than the motorcycle. Motorcycle's awesome, don't get me wrong. Every time I see it, super cool. I have the action figure of that too. I love it. It's awesome. But the Charger blows it out of the water. Hands down, I'm a muscle car guy. I'm not really a car guy, but I do like muscle cars. I think they look cool. They're really awesome. And we have a Charger, Ghost Rider. That thing is sick. That thing is sick. Okay. And yeah, so yeah, I'm just super excited about it. Obviously, I can't even talk. I'm just sitting here. I'm so pumped for this thing, and I do want to briefly talk about it in case, again, because this is mainly, this is the comic channel, and in case you all don't know anything about it, if you're curious or anything. So for this one, it is $350, which is, it is pretty pricey. At the time of recording, it's currently sitting at about 5,300 backers. It needs 9,000 to get funded. So, and it's only been 6 days or so, something like that. So it's well on its way. I think they just started doing this with the G.I. Joe Hiss tank. They introduced a thing called the Early Bird Special. It may have been on something else, but I don't follow all of them because there's like some Transformer ones and other things, and I don't look at everything if it's not something that I'd be interested in, But that's the first time I think they've done it. And then they have an Early Bird Special on this one as well, where if you get fully funded within the first week, they include this extra thing. I can't remember what the Hiss tank was. It did hit it. I do remember that. It was some figure. I can't remember what it was now. I think it was a Commander Cobra. I think it was like an animated kind of looking Commander Cobra, if I remember correctly now. But anyway, with this one, the Early Bird Special is a human form Robbie Reyes, which I was expecting, if anything, they would just include the head so you could head swap it or whatever. This is a full different figure. The clothes are a bit different. Yeah, it's a full different figure, which was pretty awesome, I thought. And it looks great. And because, again, with the car, too, like, it has all the flames and everything, but you can also swap it into just a regular Charger. You can change all the pieces. And so if you wanted to, which I don't think anybody would ever really display, unless you bought two, which, don't get me wrong, I am fairly tempted to. And I guess I still have time to make that decision. But unless you bought two, I don't think anybody would ever display, if you only have the one, without the fire. I don't think you'd ever do it without the fire. However, people like to take pictures of the figures and set up scenarios and do stuff like that. And for that to have a human form figure and to have it where you can take all the fire off is super, super cool. I really like that aspect of the feature, or the aspect of the figure, I guess, or product. I don't know what I'm saying. But, ultimately, at the end of the day, if we don't hit this Early Bird Special, which it's looking kind of unlikely because we only have about a day left, and still a little less than halfway there. I'm not worried about it getting fully funded in the time period, but it's not looking great for the Early Bird Special, which is kind of sad to me. I think, I'll get over it. I'm still super excited for it. But yeah, I was hoping we could hit the Early Bird Special on this, but there's been a lot of backlash on this figure. So again, it's $350, which, again, especially if you don't know anything about these Haslabs, might sound crazy to you. I'll give you some information on some of the other ones, not all of them. The Galactus was $400 and got 30,000 backers. So that one was huge. That was I think their biggest one. I believe. Like I said, I haven't checked out all of them, but I think so. But the Sentinel was $350, so the same price point. Got 21,000 backers. And I do understand. Again, I think there's much larger appeal to Galactus and the Sentinels. Honestly, surprised that there wasn't more Sentinels. Now, granted, I think this was the first Marvel Haslab. So, I think more people got into it with Galactus. However, I know there was a lot of people that ordered multiple Sentinels, and I thought about it too. I really was thinking about getting 3 of them, just because there's only one Galactus, but there is multiple Sentinels. You could have set up in a display. Could be super cool. But anyway, so I know there was a lot of people that ordered multiple Sentinels, and then also he comes with a head. Oh, actually, he's got it on right now because we have him set up as master mold right now. He came with a bonus head. He comes with a regular Sentinel head as well. But we have them set up as master mold. So we have the other smaller Sentinels, and we're like, those will be the small ones, and he'll be master mold. That'll be fine. Anyway, so the Hiss tank was $300 and got 26,000 people. They did a big Unicron. It was $580, which is a crazy thing, by the way. The thing is insane. Got 10,000 backers, so that one had a lot less, but it's Unicron, and it was super expensive. And then they did the Razor Crest at $350 and got 28,000 backers on that. So obviously people fund these things. Like I said, some of them haven't worked, and there's multiple reasons for that, especially the Star Wars ones. But yeah. So again, I'm not worried about. I don't think this will be. It's not gonna be one of their biggest ones or nothing. Because again, all new Ghost Rider's kind of niche. I think obviously, like if it was just regular Ghost Rider, there'd be more interest. But how do you make a big thing that is regular Ghost Rider? There's not, you just need him on his bike, and we already have that, and it's not that expensive. It's not that big. I guess unless they did a really upscaled version for some reason, but I don't think that would do very well. But anyway, getting into rants and rambles here. So I did want to mention also that they have tiers, which I guess I didn't explain earlier. So like you get fully funded and there's different numbers and different criteria for each one. But for this one, you get fully funded at 9,000 backers, which, by the way, if I ordered like 2 of these, it would count as 2 backers, so it's like just purchases really, but they call it backers. So at 9,000 you get fully funded, and then they do these stretch goals at whatever number, you get these additional things. And so they usually, on all of them, they reveal them slowly and be like, oh, if we get to here, we'll also include this, and blah, blah, blah. So again, like the Master Mold head, and there was a damaged head, and a damaged hand, and extra stuff that they included. I think the tentacles were extra. I can't remember now. They might have been on the base. I can't remember now. And then with Galactus, like he came with a Silver Surfer and a Frankie, and somebody else, I can't remember now. But yeah, they include these extra things. And so the first thing that they've revealed, again, it's only been less than a week on this one, so we don't know too much about what's going to come out with this one. But they've included Mephisto, which I think looks super great. I think he looks awesome. I know, and this has also caused a lot of controversy, because again, okay, we'll go back into the controversy before we get into Mephisto, I guess. So I've seen a lot of people, now granted, I think this is well on its way to getting funded. Like, again, more than halfway there in the first week. Not even completed the first week. I think we'll have no problem getting funded. However, I've seen so many people complaining on Instagram and Facebook and stuff, which granted is just what people do online. A lot of the people that are happy are just going to the website and becoming a backer, and that's the end of it. They're like, cool, I'm happy for this, But of course, everyone has to go online and complain, because that's all the internet is used for, it seems, these days. But yeah, there's a lot of people talking about the price, which granted, I will agree. This was a little bit more than I was thinking. I was thinking $300 to match the Hiss tank that just came out, which the Hiss tank is a little bit bigger and is a big, funky, weird size, However, this has a bunch of, all the light effects and everything, and I don't know. I was thinking $300 is probably the price point. I've seen so many people complaining and be like, Hasbro is just using us, and if you're gonna fund it, you're a fool, and this, that, Which, honestly, I mean, if it was $400, I would have funded it, and it's one of those things, like, I want this so bad. I've looked into getting a 1/12 scale charger, and just not even having any fire effects, or making some out of hot glue or something, but it turns out getting a 1/12 charger is just very expensive by itself, and will also cost a few $100s. So you know what? I opted not to do that, and probably screw up making really crappy fire effects. And instead, I'm very happy that Hasbro's coming out with their own, with a Robbie Reyes, because we've never had a Robbie Reyes figure. And, Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider may not get the human form, but we'll get the Ghost Rider. And I'm so excited. If it was, like I said, if it was more, I would pay more, because this is something that I desperately want. And I'm not saying it should cost more, obviously. I'm just saying, for me personally, I gotta have this. I got to have this. And if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. That's fine too. If you're like, hey, I got the Galactus and the Sentinel because I like those characters and I don't really care that much about the all new Ghost Rider. All right, fine. Don't spend your money. You don't have to. You don't have to buy everything they put out. You know, that's something that always freaks me out. And at this point in the video, I'm just ranting and about the whole action figure community, specifically the Marvel Legends community, because Marvel Legends is constantly coming out with all kinds of stuff, and there's constantly people complaining that, well, I don't want that. Okay, don't buy it. All right, don't buy it. They put it out for whoever wants it. That you don't have to complete the full Marvel Legends collection. It's not that big of a deal, all right? They put out something you don't like. They put out figures. I think I'm nearing 1,000 Marvel Legends. I'd say at least 800 Marvel Legends, and I more realistically, I think I'm probably past 900. I don't know if I'm at 1,000. I don't feel like counting them again. I did that a while back, and I don't really want to do it again. But anyway, I don't buy them all. I buy the ones I like, and yes, obviously, there's a lot that I like, but as new ones come out, even some that I think are pretty cool. They just fairly recently came out with the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man, and I'm kind of like, meh. If I get him, I get him. It's not that big of a deal. There is some, like, I still really want to get the Iron Spider-Man. I think that one's super cool, one that I've been waiting for them to do for years, and I think it looks great. I recently got that Venom and Null 2-pack that was incredible. I think probably one of my favorite pieces of the whole entire Marvel Legends collection I have. I probably like that Venom and Null more than I like the Sentinel. And not to bash the Sentinel or anything like that. He looks amazing. He has some issues, and if you know, you know. It doesn't really bother me. He stands fine for me. I don't have any issue. But yeah, I mean, that first of all, that Donny Cates Venom run where the winged Venom and the Null comes from, I love so much. Again, and I didn't even mind that those were $80, and that's a whole different thing. And some people thought that was too expensive, but it was like one of those things. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm buying it. I'm buying it right now. Like, it's just I want it. You know what I mean? And it's like with comics. I just spent $1,600 on this. And I'm going to get into this a little bit, and I might offend some people when I say this. I feel like the people that are really, for the majority, complaining, because that's the thing. There's people that complain about the Sentinel, people that complain about Galactus. Now there's people complaining about the Engine of Vengeance. I think there's a lot of people that are complaining that are just broke. And that's going to sound mean. It's going to sound however it is, And I think it's the truth. And I'm not... It feels crappy to say, but that is my honest opinion. And I'm not some rich man. That was a lot of money for me. I saved up. I worked really hard to get that. I worked really, really hard. Okay? I did. I work constantly. I have a regular job, and then I come home nearly every day. And for that one in particular, I probably spent most of 3 months working my regular job, coming home, and working on my computer, because I do a lot of eBay stuff, and I do voiceovers, and I do all kinds of stuff. I'm always making money some way, somehow, however I can. So I'd come home from work, get a bite to eat, and work until like 4 in the morning, and then go to work the next day, come home, repeat. Next day's my off day, work all day on my off day on the computer. I did that for probably a few months. And not every single day. And I took some time off and I played some video games sometimes. But there are many nights, even weeks at a time, where that is what I did, was just worked. And I got that book. Okay? So I'm not going to sit here and, be like, I'm just a rich man, and I can buy whatever I want. Because I understand there's a lot of things that I want that I can't afford, but I'm not angry about that. You know what I mean? I just know that I have to work to get it. And I'm not be like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That's not what I'm here to say either. I'm just saying, if there's something I can't afford, I'm not trying to yell and put the blame on anybody else. That is, and it's not like I'm out here fighting for food, and you're not fighting for food, or we're talking about an action figure. If you can't afford an action figure, you can't afford an action figure, okay? If I can't afford a comic, same thing. It's not the end of the world. But honestly, like, it's $350. I know that's a lot of money. And if you don't, again, because there's like some things, for example, I was talking to someone recently, because we have at our shop, we have a Fantastic 452 graded at a 7.0. And I don't know how we got to it, but somebody was like, do you think you might be interested in buying that book? And I was like, I think it's a cool book. You know, first appearance of Black Panther, awesome book. But for me, it gets beat out. Like, it's not worth that much money to me. Because that book's, you know, about like $2,000. For me, and again, I'm specifying that. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be worth that much. I think it's a fine price. It's what people are willing to pay for it. Okay, that's fine. But if I had $2,000 to spend on a book, I'd be going after maybe a really nice Silver Surfer 1, or actually for that much money, I could probably get like a Silver Surfer 1 and a 4, maybe an X-Men 14. There's books that beat it out and are worth less that I would rather have because they're characters I care about more. And again, I'm not trying to say I don't like Black Panther or don't think that's a good book or whatever. It's just everyone has preferences, you know? Good example. If I had a magic genie right now that could be like, I'm going to grant you one free comic, you know what I mean? It could be anything you want. A lot of people, and I talked about this earlier in the year, really, really early in the year, a lot of people would be like, Amazing Fantasy 15, first appearance of Spider-Man, you know? Huge book, extremely expensive. For me, personally, I'd rather have Tales of Suspense 39, first appearance of Iron Man. Extremely expensive still, but definitely under Amazing Fantasy 15. But if I could have one personally, and we'll say with this genie, you can't sell the book, so you're stuck with the book for life, you know? So you could say, well, I'll get Amazing Fantasy 15 and sell it and buy it, you know, you can't do that. If I could just get a book, it would be Tales of Suspense 39, which is not the most expensive book, but to me, it is my most desirable book. So again, going with the figures and stuff, again, if this isn't desirable to you, that's fine. Don't buy it. I'm not out here complaining about all the how expensive first appearance of Superman is, because I don't care. I don't want that book. It's not something that interests me, and that's fine. If it interests you, if that's your number one book, good for you. Awesome. We all got different interests and things that we want, you know? But I do think, to me, if you didn't care about something, it's easier to shrug it off. So I feel like if people really didn't care about this all new Ghost Rider Engine of Vengeance coming out, they'd be like, whatever. That'd be my opinion. Maybe I'm just different. I don't know. But if you're gonna get angry about it and be posting and all these things, and they're you know, God, just some of the crazy stuff I've seen where I don't want to get into. There's so much I could talk about people complaining about this and the just absolute insanity I've seen in comments on these things. But if you're actually angry about it, to me that tells me you would like it, but you can't afford it. And so my conclusion is you're just broke. And again, everybody's going through different struggles and things going on. I've definitely been in situations in my life where I wouldn't have been able to afford it. Right now, I've been doing kind of okay for myself. I'm not in the greatest of places. And like I said, a lot of the times, I'm just working constantly. I don't go out. I don't party. I don't drink. I don't do nothing. This is what I spend my money on. This and this, you know? This is what I do, and it's what I like to do, and it's what I like to talk about. And this is my going out, is making this video. This is my special time, and then having time later to go check and read the comments and talk to people about stuff. That is my fun time. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I'm just trying to get that point across, because I definitely don't want it to be like, oh, well, he just has money. You know what I mean? I don't just have money. That purchase was actually more than I wanted to spend and drained my bank account. And I'm working again. I'm working and building up that money again. But anyway, so what I was saying, there's points where I definitely couldn't afford it, and I would have been upset that I couldn't get it, but not angry. I would have, because again, like once you can only get these during the funding process, and it's like 40 days or so. If you don't get it in that period, they won't make this again. You'll have to get it on the secondary market, and it'll be more expensive. So yeah, I would have been upset and sad about it, that I couldn't afford it. But I don't know. I do think I'm different than most of the internet, at least, and where everyone's just angry all the time about everything, and I hate it. I really do. It is not for me. But yeah, I don't know. If you have a different conclusion, a different theory, I'd love to hear it. Am I being too shallow in my mindset? And again, like, I'm all for if you, I don't know, if you want to fight and be like, these corporations are taking advantage of us, and then, like, I don't know, there's different topics you could be yelling about. How people need to get paid more, or how maybe, the prices of living needs to go down, or something else like that. If you want to talk about that, sure, go right ahead. But to be so upset about how much an action figure cost that you don't need, and I don't need it. That's hard to say. Ooh, that hurt me a little bit. I just want it so incredibly bad. I think it is one of the coolest things I've ever seen, and will be the highlight of my collection. I think I might like it more than my comic, which is, my comic is worth more. And at the moment, with a 9.6 selling for $1,600, I would say this is at least $800, at least, in value. So, and that's, I think, being pretty generous. If I sold that thing for $800, I think somebody would be like, man, that was a steal, unless something else crazy happens with the market. But again, I'm keeping my eyes, and who knows, I might make another video in this unexpected series. But yeah, I mean, that book will be worth more, presuming everything stays the same. And it doesn't matter. I think that will be, because, and again, I've been an action figure dude for over a decade at this point, and I have so many that I really, really like. I've gotten kind of to the point where I have so many that because again, like, as new stuff comes out, I don't always buy it. I feel like I used to. I used to always buy, like, every wave that came out for a little bit. Not always. I shouldn't say that, but like a lot of waves, I'd be just like, yeah, I'm gonna buy the whole thing. And now I'm much more selective because I have so many of them that it's hard for them to really excite me like they used to. But with certain things like that Venom and Null 2-pack that came out, being, like I said, quite possibly my favorite thing in my whole Marvel Legends collection, which is crazy to be like I said, maybe 1,000 in, and then be like, this is the coolest thing that they've ever done. It's crazy. And then I think that's gonna get easily flatlined by the Ghost Rider, and I'm super excited for the Galactus to come out. But now, even that, not to say like I'm not excited for it, but the level of excitement for Galactus and then the Ghost Rider are just on completely different levels. Completely different levels. And again, it might be different for you. You might be way more excited about a Ghost Rider. I mean, about Galactus than the Ghost Rider. You might not care about the Ghost Rider at all. You might not care about Galactus at all. Everybody has different opinions. But I don't know. I'm just ranting about all kinds of... This was a much more mixed video. If I've got you this far and you're like, well, what the hell is the point of this? I'm sorry. I'm just ranting. I love the comic. I love the figure. I would love to think that this was somehow at least a little bit my, not fault isn't the right word, but my actions led to this outcome. If you're interested in funding it, you still have like a month or so. Again, not sponsored at all. I'm super excited for this to come out. To me, I think is the coolest thing that I will own. And again, I like that comic more than I like my Journey into Mystery 83, which is just inexplicably a much more expensive, much more actually, I was going to say much more rare, but it's a lot easier to find one of these for sale than it is that Ghost Rider. So I don't even know if rare is the right word, but it's definitely much older, much more expensive comic. Much more iconic comic. And to me, my favorite comic is my all-new Ghost Rider 1 in 25. And I think that action figure will be the highlight of my entire collection of everything I own. So that's, I guess that's it for today. Thanks for sticking around and listening to me rant and ramble about this. You might not have cared about any of it. I don't know. But it's been something that's been in my brain. Again, this has been going on for about a week. And just that thought in the back of my mind, like, Marco, is this your fault? Is this your doing? And I'm like, that's so cool if it is. No way of me ever knowing, but that's gonna be my headcanon. That it's at least partially because of my actions. And again, that'll make me feel better about accidentally spiking the price of that comic and probably never being able to buy another one at a reasonable price ever again. Because I paid $200 for mine. I think maybe $225 a couple years back. But anyway, that's gonna be it for today. Yeah, again, check out my giveaway stuff. If you haven't checked out that video, giving away a ton of comics in celebration of us getting to 1,000. And then in that video, there's links to other giveaways with also super incredible stuff going on this week. So definitely, not just this week, but other people doing giveaways on awesome comics and stuff. So check out that video. Check out those other videos. That's gonna be it for today. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.